Hello and welcome to CAS TV. I'm Davinia Tomlinson reporting from the CAS EMBA Lounge. Today we're going to talk about organisational design. So what do managers need to know about this subject? A very short question with a variety of different outcomes. What this short film is intended to do is give you the necessary nuts and bolts so that when you are in that situation and your CEO is eyeing up the chap next door for promotion, you'll be able to swoop in and steal the show. What's that, I hear you ask? Yes, don't worry, even if your organisation has a matrix design. Now I'll walk you through some areas that you really ought to consider. The first scenario is vertical efficiency-based systems. These are fantastic, but naturally also have their downsides. They allow a high degree of accuracy and efficiency in response to systems which require tight controls and processes. Let's look at our first scenario. The place is John Roth Royal Infirmary. The setting, theatre during a life-saving operation. See how effectively the team work together.
BP 12080, Pulse OX 100. Scalpel, which one? I want two new ones.
The usual one, come on man!
Sorry doctor, here I am. I was just sitting in my creative beanbag area thinking of new ways we can introduce for the patient for a better service.
Come on man! She's bleeding! Give me a scalpel!
Certainly doctor.
Oh no, I got an artery! Suction man!
Oh well, I thought I would try the hand.
This is chaos! We're in a hospital, not some Silicon Valley hippie commune. What we need is structure, order, hierarchy. We need people to know what they're doing at all times and to be completely reliable. We need doctors giving direction and nurses following them, sometimes even preempting them. Everyone needs to know what they're doing within a tight and organised framework. A man's life is on the line. Now, let's try it again, but within a vertical and mechanised framework this time.
2080, pulses, 100%.
Scalpel. I'm now going to make the incision. On my mark. Ready. Suction.
I've got suction ready, doctor.
Ready. Now I'm going to cut the rotary.
Ready.
Cut.
Ready.
Now let's finish quickly.
And so on, and the operation is a raging success. Why? Because everyone knew what they were doing and there was little flexibility around it. They were not supposed to be developing a learning environment, nothing of the sort. No, what they needed was an efficient environment which would allow the natural hierarchy and authority to thrive. For the doctor to get his job done quickly and effectively with low margin for error and mistakes, because in such a specialised environment you need a superb degree of accuracy and scalability, which is of utmost importance. The downside of this, however, is that there's little flexibility for learning and developing. So if the team, or indeed a company, wanted to grow and evolve outside of this situation, then they might want to look at some of the techniques we'll describe in the next scenario, outside the theatre of course. Well done, Lord Mayor John Roth Royal Infirmary. Another life saved. You owe forward for that one. Let's quickly move on to a horizontal system and why we might use one. A horizontal system is what we would use in a learning environment. High change, fast pace, and in need of rapid response to what's going on outside. Again, this can be incredibly effective, but communication barriers need to be broken down quickly and processes need to be enabled fast with little intervention from top brass. Let's look at our next scenario. The place, John Roth Pharmaceuticals. The setting, a regular customer who provides much of the company's revenues needs some changes to a drug and fast following consumer feedback. If John Roth Pharmaceuticals can't get it done in time, then they'll go elsewhere, and there are plenty of competitors ready to snap up their business.
John Roth Pharmaceuticals, Tom Miller speaking. Hi Bill, how are you? Good to hear, yes I'm fine, thanks. What can I do you for? Okay. What kind of feedback? I see. Sounds like we have some work to do. When do you need the improvements for? 1 month? Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. Let me put it through the team and I'll get back to you before the end of the week. Okay, see you later Bill, bye. EJS to the manager's office. EJS to the manager's office.
Hey Jess, how are you? I'm alright, thanks. How are you?
Good, please take a seat,
Thank you.
Just got off the phone from JWRI and they want to get feedback on their Inoxia drug. They're looking for feedback on the new regression test to make sure that it's a better drug than the previous one. They want to know that we can provide them this information by the end of the month, and we need to give them a response by the end of the week to make sure we can hit that timeline. What do you think?
It's just...
No, there's no buts. He's our biggest client, we need to give them results.
Right, first we need to get some time booked in the R&D lab then. We have a little
Oh,
time.
seriously, Ijaz, no excuses. The biggest client, we need to get them end of the week.
That's not possible.
This
We
is not
need to-
acceptable.
This
I want to
is-
speak to the man.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad yourself?
Not too bad, thanks. Just wanted to share something with you. We've got this feedback to give back to one of our very, very important customer
They want feedback on the medicine
on the
in
medicine
2 days.
In 2 days.
How are we going to achieve that? Because that's not possible. I can do it in a week. I can give you a week because we've got guys that are busy.
Yeah, I know, but I think you can probably get your other team involved in and get that sorted. I mean, a week is going to be too much time.
Sure, I can take people off another line, but you've got to bear in mind that's going to have a knock-on effect to that value stream as well. So what do you want to do? We can take people off and I can maybe bring it down to say 3 days.
No, that's never going to work. We need to get it sorted within a day. I think that's...
Well, this isn't going to work, is it? They simply don't have the time for all this red tape and confusion. Clearly there's pressure from the top to get the job done, but the processes have to be slick and the bureaucracy kept to a minimum. They don't have time to budget how much this is going to cost. They just need to know what their limit is, and as for teamwork, non-existent if you ask me. He has at his disposal a crack team of research scientists, but all he wants to do is tell them what to do. Let's try it another way and cut down some of those barriers.
Ijaz, to the manager's office. Hi Ijaz, how are you?
Not too bad, how are you?
Very well, take a seat please, take a seat. So we had feedback from JWRI. They want to know what we're doing and they want us to focus with the results and do some real regression tests to make sure that it's better than the previous one. The deadline we have is for a month and we need to ensure that we give them feedback by the end of the week to make sure that this is more competitive than the previous. Just to reiterate, we need feedback for the client by the end of the week, so I want to close the business Thursday please.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
See you in
Tom.
the week.
See ya. We've got some feedback to arrange basically for one of our customer, and we make our medicine Anoxia. They just want some feedback. The key thing is they want it very quickly.
In order to do that, what I probably need is if I take Stu and Dav off product line B and bring them in, if you could just let them know that I'm going to do that, that would be great, and inform their management team. The other thing I was just thinking as well, we also might need some additional resource, but in order to deliver the message in the way that you probably want it delivered, I think what we might need to do is contact Gemini Imports and bring in Rishi. Remember Rishi?
Yeah. That's a nice chap.
If we bring him in, that might actually help us to achieve the timelines.
That's perfectly fine, James. Whatever you need from me, I'm available fully. Just drop me in a line and I'll send them across and make sure you get all the...
You can see quite clearly some of the benefits of this approach. The flexibility, the fluidity of staff across different teams, the free exchange of ideas, and also the empowerment of staff in terms of making their own decisions. You can also see quite clearly a willingness to collaborate when there's a shortage of skills and spread some of the risk and the decision-making responsibility. Conversely, in such a flat structure, you can also see that it restricts access to employee promotion. We also touched on potential outsourcing in this scene, and we have to consider quite carefully the impact on existing employee morale as a result of introducing such a concept. In this scenario, we're going to look at matrix systems and why you would use them. These are mainly used in companies where you need to focus on both the function and the product simultaneously. The matrix system focuses strongly on horizontal linkages with vertical elements. Both work simultaneously if you need to share resources across different streams of information or production, and the external environment must also require the company to show high levels of specific knowledge whilst at the same time being responsive to change, regardless of department. Here is an example of how it would work. Let's move over to the poor old science teacher and the head of science at John Roth Comprehensive, incidentally the same school where most of the workforce for John Roth Royal Infirmary and John Roth Pharmaceuticals hail from. Uncanny.
I'm having a few problems preparing the lesson for this coming term. I'm trying to work out what the best way to do it, considering we've had really excellent exam results, and the feedback from the students was saying that the lessons were delivered excellently last year.
Well, based on the feedback and the exam results last year, we should keep things consistent.
Well, see, that's the problem I'm trying to wrestle with at the moment, because I've just seen the email from the headmaster and he's basically saying that we need to make some structural changes to the curriculum in order to build in the feedback from the county council. I just don't know which is the right way. I finished the updates to the timetable and I think I've managed to capture the key elements that we need to accommodate the increased emphasis on languages, but I do have a concern about the imbalance we've now got with the science practicals. I really think we should discuss this with the head of year.
No, we shouldn't. We really shouldn't.
Oh, hi there. Do you think that we should...
Should what?
Well, Tom and I were just discussing our thoughts on how to accommodate the new requirements from the County Council and the curriculum with regard to languages, but we're just trying to get the right balance between that and science.
Impossible. We're already struggling with the time, that there's not enough time for the languages,
Right.
so that's not going to be happening.
No, we can't. We had good results. We can't take resources away and put it on languages.
Well, something needs to be done to accommodate all these changes, because we need to speak with the head of languages as well to accommodate these.
Well, we'll have to find a compromise between all of us.
And the discussion continues. They'll agree eventually. In this scenario, there was a high expectancy for change, coupled with delivery of highly specific products or knowledge, in this case, the level of teaching given to the students. We can clearly see that overall the headmaster controlled the show, and then there were two clear authorities at work in the shape of the head of year and head of science. What is fantastic about this structure is you can achieve the coordination needed to achieve the dual demands as well as sharing resources across different lines or streams. You can also make frequent changes and tackle complex decisions in an unstable environment, and it works really well where there are multiple products, or in this case subjects. The downsides? Well, ask the poor teacher. I'm sure he doesn't know who to follow. The team members in different authorities need excellent interpersonal skills along with training, and as you can see in this scenario, conflict is so frequent that so many meetings would be necessary to make sure these are resolved. Then there is the obvious power struggle, and there is always a balance to maintain. In reality, you may end up with some authorities taking more of a lead than others. Well, that's organisational design in a nutshell. Now, what you have to remember is that no one size fits all, and it's best to look at what your individual requirements are, not just for the company overall, but for all levels within the organisation. You may find at some levels a purely vertical chain is necessary, and in others a matrix system is the only way that tasks can be completed. If this is the case, you'll move further along the scale to a hybrid structure where certain approaches are tailored to meet specific strategic needs. This means you get the best of each situation and you manage to avoid some of the weaknesses we describe in the scenarios that we discussed earlier. You can now consider yourselves competent designers of any organisational design. Well done. Thank you for watching CAST TV. I'm Davinia Tomlinson. Goodbye.